Hello again. This is Megan Dalton for my persuasive speech for speech 1311 at Eastfield College with my speech instructor, Miss Courtney Brazil. And this is my audience for my speech. And for my persuasive speech, the title is going to be Why We Should Exercise Our Right to Vote. So let's begin. Voting in America has always been one of our most powerful rights. Even though most Americans choose not to use this right, they don't realize how lucky they are to live in a country where people can vote. Voting is an effective way to show your support for our country's democracy, as well as helping to choose the leader of our country. There are many reasons why Americans should vote. Let's start by talking about how easy it is to register for voting. First of all, in order to register online, it is best to go to the website called registertovote.org to start the process of registering to vote. Only about 70% of Americans who are eligible to vote have actually registered. This website that I just mentioned simplifies the voter registration process. This process makes it much easier and faster for you to get involved and exercise your right to make a difference. For me, being eligible to vote at the age of 18, I registered online. It was very easy for me to use this, especially from either an iPad or my laptop. And I think that it is a much better way for those people who are either elderly or maybe even disabled to use this registering online. That way they can do it from inside their own living space. However, whenever it is time for voting, you obviously have to go outside your home to actually vote for the presidency. So it's very important that everyone register as soon as possible when you are eligible and to make sure that you go out and vote in the fall. Next, I will discuss how every vote is important. It is through voting that one can make their voice heard. For example, in the election of 1876, our 23rd president, Rutherford B. Hayes, won by one vote against his opponent, Samuel J. Tilden. If in this election more people had voted, the other candidate could have possibly won this election. The only way democracy works is if citizens, young and old, are active participants. If you don't vote, you really have no right to complain about government decisions you don't like. So, for my example, I used Rutherford B. Hayes and Samuel J. Tilden because I believe the numbers were 185 to 184. So this example proves that every vote counts. So that's why it's very important for every American to register to vote and go out there and vote. Because sometimes, like in the election of 1876, it was by one vote that Rutherford B. Hayes became the 23rd President of the United States. So in the fall, make sure you all go out and vote, and make sure everyone registers online, as I just mentioned earlier. It's very important to vote and to register and be a part of our democracy. The information that I just mentioned can be found at historyofl1800s.about.com. And now, let's discuss how voting can create change. Creating change for the better. If you want change in political elections, you must vote. If you disagree with certain political views, then you have the right to change them by voting. When you vote, you're exercising your democratic right to make changes on issues that are important to you. Remember, there are people that fought and even died to secure the right to vote for themselves and for others. And what I mean by that is, I'm talking about our military. Our country was founded on democracy and freedom, and the military that we have overseas and even home, all of them are fighting for our freedom, and they're all fighting so hard to maintain that freedom and democracy in America. So for all those people that think voting doesn't matter, well, all of those men and women are fighting for our freedom and fighting for our right to vote. The only way we get to have a democracy and freedom is because of them. So that's why it's important that everyone needs to vote. Not only them, but everyone should vote, because it is a very important right that we have that some countries don't get the chance to have. This information that I just mentioned can be found at www.safetyandjustice.prospect.org/article/why-we-vote. And now, finally, let's sum up all of the reasons on why people should vote. There are plenty of reasons why Americans should vote, and no excuse why you shouldn't. On Election Day, there is a moment where everyone feels a sense of hope for our future and that we are citizens of a democratic process. If you have children, take them to the polls with you. You can remind them that for a time in our history, people had no say in who would lead them, and now we do. Voting is something that you do for your community and your country, not just for yourself. America was built on democracy and freedom, so this fall, vote and make a difference. And now I'd like to quote one of my favorite presidents, John F. Kennedy, and he said, "Ask not what you can do for your country, but what your country can do for you." Thank you.